Okay, we just finished putting that 2 inches per foot taper on our nut gauge. So our next step, we have to put we need to thread the 3/4 16 threads. But before we do that, we have to sharpen a cutting tool to cut those threads. So we're going to use the other end of our cutting tool to sharpen a 60-degree V, 60-degree included angle on the tip of our cutting tool, the other end. So I'm going to put some layout fluid on it and lay it out with the center gauge. All of those angles you see on that center gauge right there are 60 degrees, so I can grind it, grind a little bit and check it and until I get until that 60-degree V on the end of my cutting tool fits any of those angles on that center gauge. So let's sharpen our cutting tool. Okay, so I've put some layout fluid on my cutting tool, the other end of my cutting tool. That's the one we've been machining the diameters with on our nut gauge. Now this is the top for the end that was for our turning, and because of the angles, see we're going to use this angle as our relief for our threading tool. It's already on there, so just likewise it was on this side for the cutting end, the turning end. So anyway, I put some layout fluid on it. It's dried, and I used a scribe to mark those lines on there so I know where to go to, so where to grind to. Then we get close to the lines and we'll start checking it, grind a little bit, checking it to make sure those angles are correct, that 60-degree V angle, because that's the shape of our threads. Now, because I have to grind so much off of this end, I'm going to put it in a right-handed tool holder, because I'll be pushing quite a bit harder to get all that metal off. So I'll tighten that real good, and then I'll just grind to the line, and then I'll take it out of my holder where I can use a little finesse to grind that the small angle. It's a lot easier to grind a whole lot off and then grind a little bit off to match the angle, instead of trying to grind the small angle first and then trying to keep this side even with the gauge, comparing it with the gauge. So I want to do the big angle first. So let's do that. You want to try to use the whole surface of your wheel without running off the end either way. So I'm kind of holding it at an angle above the center line of my grinding wheel, and that'll put the relief on the bottom. right, I got that angle on there. Let's cool it off a little bit. Now I can grind the small angle and compare it with the center gauge. Not too bad. So I'm gonna hold it up to the light and see if I can see that comparison a little bit better. Yeah, I need to. So holding it up to the light tells me I have to cut just a little bit more off of that right there. Let's check that. Okay. So I like that. So anyway, it takes practice, so take your time, and we're ready to cut some threads, I think. So let's go to the lathe and cut some threads.